Karen Dobson. I'm the Sergeant at Arms for the Humour Farm Toastmasters in Virginia. I'm going to introduce you all to Terry. Terry has been a fantastic creator of this event tonight. She's worked on and off, or not on and off, but on and on to make this work. And so we're grateful to have you all joining us from around the world. Terry, I'm going to turn this over to you to introduce the team that we have tonight. And Terry, seriously, fabulous job. So thank you.
Thank you all for joining us. Good evening, good afternoon, and good early morning to some of you. First of all, I would like to send out a big thank you to our Humour Farm Club, Toastmaster clubs, for dedicating their time to make this event happen, especially to our officer, Bill Roman, Tom Reed, Mary Ann Sinklob, Karen Dobson, and our coach, Abe Katz. Also, thank you to our district leaders for supporting us. Rick Taylor, Yvonne Vaughn, Shelley Roman, Jonathan Kaufman, and especially our Director of 29, Narayan Doreswamy, for supporting us and also for letting us his Zoom link to support all of you. I would like to give a big shout out to members of District 92, 121 in India, and also District 93 in Korea, and all of you in District in Australia and Canada. To our non-Toastmaster members and guests, we hope you will enjoy this event and learn more about Toastmaster and what we as members can offer to you. Thank you to our featured speaker, Alexa Drubay and Chris Ulrich, for taking their time on the weekend to support us. We're excited to learn more from you. The pandemic has changed our lives and we have adapted, and so much so that we can visit each other throughout the world. The idea of searching for special club humor, improv, and comedy throughout Toastmaster International occurred to me while our town was in lockdown. Now, what our search, over close to 17,000 clubs around the world, I only found around 50 of our specialty clubs. I'm sure I would have missed some, but hopefully after tonight, we will collect more of our specialty clubs. We are certain unique. And Dutch Martin, we heard your winning message. We want to stand out, and we have stood out. This is the first big event that we organized for you. We don't know how it turned out, but like Mike Carr of Laughing Matters Toastmaster in Club District 55, Austin, Texas, and the winner of the 2020 World Championship of Public Speaking said, victory is not in the result, but victory is in the try. And having you all here is victorious to us. So at this time, I would like to acknowledge our sister clubs. And if you guys are here, you can unmute yourself and holler. District 1, Improv and Humour, Redondo Beach, California. District 5, Laughing Master Toastmaster Club, San Diego, California. District 6, Humor Us Club, Rochester, Minnesota, USA. District 6, Humor Mill Toastmaster Club in Minnesota, USA. District 21, Engaging Humor Toastmaster Club, Columbia, Canada. District 27, Tamara, Smiley, Hamilton, Expiring Speaker Toastmaster Club, Northern Virginia, USA.
Hey.
District 29, Humor Mill Toastmaster Club, Northern Virginia, USA. District 32, Northwest Comedy Club, Washington State, USA. District 32, Sound Advice and Storytelling Humorous Club, Washington State, USA. District 32, Wet Sound Comedy Club, Pacific Northwest, USA. District 35, Love of Laughter, Michigan.
Yay!
District 37, Funny Bone 2, North Carolina, USA. District 37, Improv Toastmaster, Greensboro, North Carolina, USA. District 39, Toastmaster Comedy Club, Reno, Nevada, USA. District 46, Humorous Toastmaster, New York, New York, USA. District 52, Improv Toastmaster, San Fernando Valley, USA. District 55, Laughing Matters Toastmaster, Austin.
We're laughing really matters.
District 55, Leander Storyteller, Improv Toastmaster, Perspective Club, District 55. District 55, Ostentatious Toastmaster, Austin, Texas.
Yes.
District 57, Nat Lovers Toastmaster, Concord, California. District 64, Comedy Club, Winnipeg, Manitoba. District 69, the Comedy Club, Brisbane, Queensland, Australia.
G'day.
District 70, Just for Laughs, Toastmaster Club, Sidney,
Yay!
District 90, Laugh Out Loud, Toastmaster Club, Rouse Hill, Sydney, Australia.
Yay!
And last but not least, District 101, Silicon Valley Improv Master, San Jose, California.
AP Johnny from India.
With that, I would like to hand over to our distinguished Toastmaster, Tom Reed, immediate past president and current vice president of membership and treasurer. Let a night of laugh begin.
Thank you, Terry. Want to welcome everyone. I have a couple administrative notes to begin with. When the speakers are speaking, please mute your voice or your microphone so that they get the stage. Also, in Zoom, you probably want to be on speaker view so you can see a large picture of the individual speakers. A couple other things for you. We do want you to show your pictures and so, or your video. And if you want, during the speech, if something makes you want to laugh, here's how you laugh in sign language. Think of a mustache. You go off to your sides. And if you want to applause, I think most of us know the applause. Everybody's seen Mr. Holland's opus, so those are the applause. And I have some others, but because of the interest of time, I'll skip those for tonight. Now, Terry introduced a lot of clubs tonight, but there's one club, I don't think they're represented tonight, but they should. They should be in our thoughts. And that's the Humoroid Club, Humoroid Advanced Toastmasters in Bahrain. They have a Humoroid club out there. And when I heard about them, all I could think was, I wonder if they use preparation H for humor. So want to thank everybody. My role tonight as the farm master is to facilitate. This isn't my show. I just want to introduce people and get them going. And as Terry mentioned, this is unusual circumstances. I'd like to do this live, but we can't. And just so everybody knows, and I'm a student of history, over 100 years ago, when we had the pandemic of 1918 and 1919, do you know what followed the pandemic? The Roaring 20s. People wanted to get out, they wanted to be active, they wanted to have fun. And right now, we want to have fun and laugh. Our first speaker tonight is going to be Barbara Nielsen of the Comedy Club, District 69 in Queensland, Australia. Barbara Nielsen, the stage is yours.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. Australia is surrounded by water. We have some of the most fantastic beaches in the world. People travel from all over the world to visit our beaches. And one of the most famous is Bondi Beach at Sydney. Bondi Beach is so famous, it even has its own reality TV show. And we can see these lifeguards, these big, strong, strapping young men out there, ready to face all the dangers of the ocean. If you're in trouble, they're out there facing everything to save you. On a daily basis, they're there. And Bondi Beach is so popular, there could be hundreds, sometimes in the middle of summer, thousands of people. It is jam-packed with people. But these lifeguards are there every day. So you can be confident that if you get into any sort of strife, you're safe. Now, I was watching their show, Bondi, because unfortunately I don't live near Bondi Beach, But I was watching their show, Bondi Rescue, the other night, and I saw this young English backpacker came up to the counter, their office, and say, I need help, I'm in strife, please help me, help me. What sort of life-threatening situation was she in? She'd only been in Australia 2 days, new country, really worried, and she thought, if I go for a swim in the ocean, someone might steal my wallet. So what did she do to overcome this concern? She dug a hole in the sand and buried her wallet in the sand on Bondi Beach. Now you just stop and think about it. Hundreds, maybe 1,000 people there, and she buried her wallet. But she went out and had a lovely swim. When she came back, oh dear, she knew roundabout where the wallet was, but she couldn't find it. And to make matters worse, the tide was coming in. So this was the life-threatening situation that this little darling took up to the lifeguards. Please help me, help me. What am I going to do if I lose all my identification and my money in a strange country? Well, fortunately, the lifeguards face this sort of situation on a regular basis. People lose diamond rings, and they have a call-out person who comes to the rescue. He's not a big strapping lifeguard, well, mind you, he looks pretty good to me, but he has a metal detector. So in came the pseudo lifeguard with his metal detector, and our British backpacker took him down to roundabout where she thought the wallet was. It took a bit of searching, but he found it. So he saved the day. I must admit that young girl, when he gave her the wallet, she was laughing, but I'm not sure whether it was laughing for fun or laughing from embarrassment. So ladies and gentlemen, if you come to Australia and you visit Bondi Beach, you be rest assured that you're in safe hands, whether it be cast out to the ocean in a rip or threatened by a shark, or if you lose your wallet. But whatever you do, burying it in the sand is not the best option. Perhaps find a locker or take turns to go in the water. But this was a real life situation on Bondi Beach in Australia. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, Barbara. And just so you know, when I go to Australia, I have the exact thing that you need on an Australian beach to hunt for stuff. Because as Crocodile Dundee said, that's a knife. What a thank you. Our next speaker is from the local area. She lives up in Pennsylvania, a place called Media, Pennsylvania. What a wonderful name. And her name is Alexa Fong Drubay. And she teaches laughter yoga. And she learned laughter yoga from the true master, Dr. Madan Katera in India. And before I introduce her, I did want to make an announcement. Thank you folks from India for signing in. Earlier today, I learned that our district director, Narayan Doraswamy, is actually from Mumbai, India, which was an absolute shock to me because I've known him for over 5 years and I thought he was from Las Vegas. So our next speaker again is Alex Fong Drubay, Laughter Yoga with Alexa. Alexa.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, or should I also say good morning to people around the world who are ahead of us. I'd like to share with you a little bit about the benefits of a laughter exercise program, like Tom said, created in India. So it's all wonderful. This comedy stuff, jokes and humor are great. I love them too. But what do you do when life gets tough and you feel stressed out of your mind and you are really struggling and in the need for laughter? What do? I just laugh. And I'm going to show you how too. Would you please humor me and stand up? This is an interactive session. So I would like to welcome you to stand up and place your hands on your heart and close your eyes for a second and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Ha. Give me an audible ha. And feel your heartbeat. And just check in with yourself now and assign yourself a number between 1 and 10, 1 feeling really crappy and 10 feeling super duper. And assign yourself that number, a silent number, because we are going to revisit that number at the end of this little session and see if it has increased. And with your next breath in, open your eyes. Move your hands down a little bit further to your diaphragm area, right below your rib cage, and stick out your tongue. And give me a dog pant, like, can you do that? Now, do you feel that when you do that? Do you feel your diaphragm moving here? You've just connected with your power source. So we are going to be mindful of connecting with our breath, because from the moment we are born to the moment we take our last breath, we're breathing, right? And sometimes we don't pay attention to our breath. So laughter yoga makes you pay attention to your breath and allows you to draw that energy because you're using your diaphragm. So while you're here, just bounce a little bit. We're going to warm up the body. And be mindful of how you're feeling and don't create any new pain for yourself. So let's just warm up the body by moving our necks left and right, and a big smile on your face. And up and down. And now bring your shoulders into it, moving your shoulders. How about wiggling your fingers a little bit in your hands, down to your elbows and your arms. And now move your hips along, back and forth, moving your hips a little bit. Okay, now you're going to shake your chest, shake it, shake it, shake it, and shake your butt, and laugh a little bit. And now you're going to shake all the way down to your knees. So your knees will be little wobbly knees. Just jiggle, wiggle and jiggle from your head to your toe. Okay, now bounce a little bit more. Okay, now you're warmed up. Now approach the screen, and I would like you to put your settings on gallery view where you can see everyone else or a lot of other people, and just make eye contact with them, because you're going to feel their energy through the screen, even though you're not in the same room, and laugh and wave. Hello, hello. Nice to see you. Hello. Very good, very good. Yay. We're going to do that. Clap, clap, stretch. Clap, clap, stretch twice in between the exercises. The next one we're going to do is ta-da laughter. So what I'm going to do is ask you to step back 4 paces from away from your screen. Okay, and then you're going to announce yourself as if you were walking down the red carpet, and you're going to go like this, ta-da, and give me a big laugh. Okay, and you're going to do it 4 times, as if you're coming down the carpet for the Oscars. And please unmute us, moderator. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Ta-da! Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
Very good, very good. Yay! Very good, very good. Yay! Excellent.
Very
Next one. The next thing I want you to do is reach into your pocket and grab some mental floss. It's similar to dental floss, it's a little bit longer and thicker, and you're going to stick it in one ear, and you're going to declutter your brain with a little bit of laughter, moving it back and forth. I want to hear you laugh. Sometimes it gets stuck. Work it out. Now pull it out gently, pull it out, and show off what you got on the end of it. Ooh, looks pretty disgusting. Ooh. So we're going to count to 3 and then throw it over our shoulder with a laugh. 1, 2, 3. Very good, very good. Yay!
Yay!
Very good, very good. Yay! One more that I do is called balancing out the stress laughter. So imagine your stress level is very high. So put your right hand up high and your laughter level is very low. So you're going to bring up the laughter and reduce the stress. Give yourself a nice stretch. Okay, now the left hand is high. Bring that down with the laughter. Very good, excellent. Breathe in, put your hands on your heart, breathing in, and let it go. And now you're on a ship. And it's rocking, the ship is rocking back and forth because the sea, the waves are really high. And so it's a stormy sea and we're trying to find our balance on this ship, just like in life. Things are not always smooth. And so you're gonna laugh a little bit when things get out of sync and try to bring them back with the laughter. Very good, very good. Yay! Very good, very good. Yay! All right, we're going to do a breathing exercise because laughter yoga combines laughter exercises that are based on everyday situations, not jokes or comedy, combines the laughter exercises with yogic breathing. So imagine you have a big heart in front of you. You're going to breathe into the indentation at the top of the heart through your nose, open up the heart with your breath, and close it down at the point, breathing out. Exhale slowly through your mouth as if you're breathing through a straw. Open it up again. Open up your heart, hold it, and slow exhale. One more time, big heart opening up, and close it again at the bottom. Now place your hands back on your heart, close your eyes, and check in with yourself. Deep breath, in through your nose, out through your mouth. And revisit that number that you selected for yourself at the beginning of the session and see if your happiness number has gone up. Then open your eyes with your next breath and congratulate yourself on just having practiced some unconditional, mindful laughter for your health. In doing so, you have reduced your stress hormones or cortisol levels. You've increased your oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine levels. And we have connected with one another. At this time, where there's so much divisiveness, so much uncertainty, so much anxiety out there, if you can incorporate a little bit of laughter into your day, you will be feeling so much better. So stay strong with the laughter, and if you have any questions about laughter yoga, Google it and visit my website at laughteryogawithalexa.com. Thank you for laughing with me. Thank you.
Alexa, we didn't discuss this, but what we had discussed earlier was if people have questions, they can put it in the chat box to me. And that way I'll pass the questions on to you. And while we're waiting for people to put them in, one of the things I want to ask you is that you attended Notre Dame at the Maryland University.
Yes.
What did you study there, and did your studies help you in your life life calling?
I studied something absolutely useless at the beginning. I studied drama because I was just having such a good time with it, and they had an excellent drama department. And I went to New York, and I realized that I wasn't really going to make it as an actress on the stage, especially in New York, where they have the creme de la creme of actresses. But what I have found is, in having studied drama, that it did help me in life, move through life's challenges. And it's certainly helped me with my laughter yoga because it incorporates so much improv. And you have to be super flexible because we laugh with groups of all ages. I laugh with little kids all the way up to older adults and all the groups in between. And so you have to have a little bit of a sixth sense as to what will work with certain groups. And so that's helped.
Thank you. I do have a question here. Is laughter yoga free to guests and potential members?
Yes, laughter yoga clubs are free, and you can find them all over the world. And if you go to laughteryoga.org, there's a listing by country, by city and state. You can find laughter clubs. And now during the pandemic, of course, we've moved most of our laughter yoga activities online to Zoom laughter clubs. And they're really helpful. And we've been able to reach a larger group of people around the world. So if you're on Facebook, Google Facebook online Zoom laughter clubs, and you will find a listing of all the laughter clubs in the US and outside that are free that you can join.
And are they all virtual now, or are you meeting in person?
Most of them are virtual during the pandemic, although some places where they can meet outside, for example, in Florida or in India, in some parks. Sometimes if people are distanced and they're wearing masks, they still have some meetings.
Okay, and I'm getting a lot of feedback about how this was great and fantastic. And I don't know if that's directed at me or you.
You, of course.
Okay.
The
Alexa,
thing is, okay,
I do want to thank you.
sorry.
And she mentioned you can send in Google any
Yes.
further questions. And now we're ready to move on.
Thank you.
We want to keep this meeting going. And now it is my honor and privilege to introduce Dutch Martin. And he is of the Tamara, Smiley, Hamilton Aspiring Speakers Toastmaster Club. Try saying that 3 times. So, Dutch Martin, you're on.
All right, does this thing work? I hope so. All right, thank you very much. Fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and everybody around the world. Hi. Good to see you guys. Well, you know what, folks? I have a bit of a confession to make. You see, I learned some years ago that my dearly departed mother had an extramarital affair during her marriage, as opposed to a regular affair. You see, I know this because I'm the product of at least one of them. Now, I'm not bitter. I don't know who my real father is, but you know, people have told me that I'm a halfway decent speaker, and some have even told me that I sound like a Baptist preacher. So I've narrowed it down to 3 possibilities: Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, and Al Sharpton. It's going to be a bit of a challenge approaching Al Sharpton saying, "Excuse me, Reverend Sharpton, I might be your illegitimate son." I can just see his face. "You are not my son. You don't even have my hair." Now, one of my favorite motivational speakers is Les Brown. Now, he fathered 9 children, so I figured, you know what, what's one more? I could contact him and say, "You know, Mr. Brown, I could be one of your long-lost sons." His response, "It's possible." Well, don't you hate it when people make assumptions about you based on how you look? I mean, people look at me, They see I'm a big black dude. I'm kind of buff. I work out and everything. And they think I'm like either a nightclub bouncer, or I could be a linebacker, or, a power lifter or whatnot. I can see that. I'm big. I'm buff. I work out, take care of myself. I'm a yoga instructor, folks. That's right. I'm a yoga instructor. Okay. So if Tom Iland asks me, okay, dude, you want to check my ID? I'll say no, but I would like to check your chakras. Now, see, I have to admit, yoga was a very new thing for me when I first started doing it, because I didn't know anything about it. Before I got into yoga, see, people would tell me how yoga would put them in a state of euphoria. My first yoga class almost put me in the hospital. I mean, after that class, I said to myself, okay, yoga must stand for you're only going to ache, because I ached. I mean, seriously, the first time I tried it, it was hard. All that stretching and opening, it felt like my hips and hamstrings were applying for legal separation. And my groin muscles were screaming for child support. Now things are a little better. I mean, I've gotten used to the poses and everything. Now all of my lower extremities have agreed to joint physical custody. But now, you know what? I absolutely love yoga. In fact, I will say this proudly. As a black man in America, yoga has opened my body up in ways a police strip search never could. It keeps my chakras nice and loose. But I will have to admit, when I first started doing yoga, a lot of the poses were just amazing. I mean, it really felt great in my body. By a show of hands, how many people here either do yoga or you've heard of it? Cool. Now, how many of you realize that, as you get older, a lot of those poses you just can't do anymore? Okay. I mean, here's the thing. One of my favorite yoga poses was this pose called crow pose, where you get down on your mat, you crouch down, you turn your body into a shell, you plant your palms down, and you basically float your feet off your mat, and you're balancing on your arms. That pose represents such power and just an epic posture for me, okay? In my early days of yoga, crow pose used to be an integral part of my practice. Then one day it just decided to go into private practice. I mean, one day I was doing crow pose, I was trying it, and the next thing I know, I get a certified letter in the mail saying, sorry, sir, your crow pose has opened its own LLC. I just couldn't do it anymore. Another pose, dancer. Okay, where you're standing at the top of your mat, you grab one foot behind you, you lift your leg up in the air, and then you open up, you turn your body into like a bow and arrow type of thing called dancer. Okay? Early on, I was a very good dancer as far as that pose was concerned. My dancer pose was on fleek. Okay? For those of you who don't speak Ebonics, on fleek means it was awesome. Okay? But now every time I try to do dancer pose, I'm reminded of a stereotype. Not all black people have rhythm. But you know what? The great thing about yoga is that there's a modification for everything. And my favorite modification in yoga is Shavasana. Because when I'm tired, I just lay on my back and go straight to sleep. What else is going on in the news? You know what? Young people today are just so sensitive. They're so triggered, all right? They're triggered about everything, all right? I recently read that now social media messages containing periods, yes, the punctuation mark, at the end of a sentence, young people see that as a sign of aggression and anger. See, here's how I see the proper use of punctuation marks. A sign that Ebonics was not your first language. I don't know. I mean, young people, maybe they're triggered by anything that forces them to actually stop and think. Like the word police. I mean, if they're triggered by periods, then all caps must send them running and screaming to the confines of their safe space. Now, I will say this, though. Researchers discovered that the dangling modifier Words and phrases that modify a word not clearly stated in a sentence induce in some young people a hypnotic state. I can attest to this. You know what happened to the last young lady who dangled her modifiers in my face? I married her. Finally, I'll say, researchers have also discovered that young people view the question mark, the question mark at the end of an interrogative sentence, they view that as a sign of insecurity. Well, I can understand that too, because sometimes I feel so insecure about myself that when I'm with my wife, I fantasize that I'm someone else. Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Dutch. It's very interesting. You've done a lot of speeches about your family, and I do have a suggestion for you, is that you take the DNA test. I took the DNA test several years ago. I wanted to see if I was related to Kunta Kinte, and instead I found out that I have French ancestors, and even going back further, I have Turkish ancestors. So that was unusual. So good luck to you. Good luck to you. Now I can see you. I can see you in the speaker view, so I can definitely see what you're wearing. Before it looked like a Baltimore Ravens, type cap. But anyway, appreciate it.
And realize this is all I got on.
Yeah, but I can just see you going to somebody. Dutch Martin, yoga instructor, coming soon to a theater near you. All right.
Namaste.
Dutch, want to thank you very much. And our next speaker is going to be Mike Robinson of Engaging Humour from British Columbia. Mike, are you there?
Howdy, folks. I'm here.
All right, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and howdy to all you fellow connoisseurs of humour, connoisseurs of late night Saturday entertainment, and connoisseurs of alcohol, the proper way to remind ourselves that this is the original reason for a toast. So anyway, this is a 3-minute speech, and I'm going to be sharing ideas like shit through a goose. I suggest that you put your mics on. Let's just try something rather. Everybody, put your mics so that we can hear you. Why? Because this is a comedy thing, and if I can't hear you, I got no idea whether I'm doing good or doing bad. So unless you've really got that child screaming in the background, or you've got a couple of geese, what the heck? Put it out there. All right. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about our club, and the reason I wanted to tell you a little bit about our club is because we're 20 years old, which means we're old enough. Well, we're not old enough to drink. We're not old enough to vote, but we're old enough to have sex. Formed a few clubs, immaculately conceived, of course. Now, we used to be madness, and we met monthly from 10 till midnight, but we discovered the name and the hour scare off a lot of people, so we decided we'd change it to Engaging Humour, which is the sign behind me. Why did we change it to Engaging Humour? Well, we wanted to show that our club was a supportive place for anybody to perambulate the passion-filled pathway called humour. Our theme, game, humour for everyday life. So to hark back to the geese, how do we create a supportive environment that gets everyone flying in formation? Well, I'm going to give you 5.5 guidelines that work for us. And they're for your clubs to share, and hopefully they work. So in considering these, even Mike Storkey will probably agree with me, there are lots of rules in Toastmasters, but only 3 that matter. Rule number 1, do speeches. Rule number 2, get them evaluated. Rule number 3, the most important, pay your dues. So, with those rules in place, you can see that there's a lot of scope for doing pretty much whatever you want to do. So, what are our rules? Well, actually, they're just guidelines. Guideline number 1, atmosphere to encourage laughter. We have food. We encourage alcohol. And we encourage supportive heckling. Supportive heckling builds up the volume. It gives speakers something to bounce off, and it just helps everybody. And the other thing is, stop judging, start joining in. The second guideline, uninhibited. That means in our club, everybody gets a table topic. No hiding, so you think, oh, I hope I don't get one, or pick me, pick me, pick me. You're going to get one anyway. You don't need to worry about it. What a relief. And other things, no language police. Wow, just feel the relief. I can see your eyes, oh, reaching back there. Ah, isn't that great? No language police. And of course, silly timers. Water pistol, anybody? You'll actually discover that water pistols aren't nearly as good in a virtual environment, but they're awesome when they're in live. And then the other thing, of course, is we have nearly no contests. Contests bring in stress. We don't need it. Thank you. Yeah, the truth. Thing number 3, evaluations. Evaluations that concentrate on reminding people of their successes. What did they do that was funny, and why did it work? We used to be sort of fairly critical and fairly otherwise, but you know what? We've discovered that people did a lot better when we're 90% encouraging. Hey, there's over 50 different sorts of humor. There's 50 different sorts of ice cream. In both cases, there's one that works for you. Thing number four is themes. The themes that lend themselves to costumes to create color and to let people lose themselves in their roles. Halloween is way too much fun to let it only happen once a year. Thing number 5, banner raids. We put our raider gear on, pirates, and we go out into our pirate gear and try and raid one club a month. So that brings then, for those who don't know what raids are, you go 5 and come back with 5. Anyway, that brings 5 new faces back to our club every month. It just vibrates the whole club up. Everyone's on their best act just to get the energy going. So as Shrek said, change is good, donkey. And so you now need the half point. And the half point is relax. For everyday humor, aim for amusing. Belly laughs are a bonus. It just takes the pressure off when you're going for amusing. And so this goose is cooked. Hopefully in all that excrement, you found at least one golden egg to help you and take away and get your club going along the humor pathway. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, you got to snort.
Thank you, Mike. I especially enjoy the hat. It made me want to sing Yankee Doodle, but I realize you're a little bit north of the of our border. The other thing that you all may not realize is Canada has really produced a lot of comedy and winning shows here recently. I don't know if you saw the Emmys a couple weeks ago.
Schitt's Creek,
but
Schitt's Creek.
Schitt's Creek got 9 Emmy Awards. And it was probably Oh, Canada. Yeah. And I also like Canada too, because I am an English language learner. My nanny in Germany married a Canadian officer and moved to Montreal. So she's visited several times, but I'm very happy with the people in Canada and for them giving me my nanny many years ago. Okay, our next speaker is Chris Ulrich. And I don't want to destroy anything with the introduction, so I'm just going to introduce him cold. Chris, are you there? And the title is See You in the Moment.
Hi, Tom.
See you.
I am here. I came on to the fine gentleman in the Pirates cap. Fantastic. I don't know if you can see me. I don't know where I'm showing up on anybody's screen or if I'm showing up on your screen.
Yep, we can see
all
you.
right, wait a minute. Okay.
Hi, Bill.
I do have an intro for you. And I said I didn't want to destroy because I thought I found some things out about you you're going to talk about. But Chris Ulrich is a body language expert, a political consultant, improvisational actor, personal coach, and part-time firefighter? No. He's a founder of See You in the Moment, a company which with a multidisciplined approach to educating clients about body language, personal confidence, and presentation skills. In his spare time, Ulrich regularly performs with Jive, Turkey, and Knox improv comedy troupes in the Washington, D.C. area. He was a cast member in Capital Gym, a comedy pilot that appeared on the Food Network in Dinner Impossible with Chef Robert Erfline, and it won't scroll down. Hold on a minute. Totally, it just went below me. Okay, I've lost it. Wait a minute. Sorry. Okay. All right. I'm going to introduce you now, Chris. Chris, all yours.
Hello, everybody. I am trying to share a screen here with you guys. I don't know if that's happening or not. First, let me say hello. It's nice to be here. I know Bill from at the DC Improv, and we had a brief conversation. I love, first of all, the Humour Farm, that you guys live in the comedy realm and you focus on comedy and you use improvisation. That's one of my—
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
It looks like you're sharing your desktop versus what you might think you're sharing.
No, I don't know. Let me try this. How's that? Did that show
there,
up?
that's much better.
That looks better.
Okay, guys. And talking with him, we thank you for that, by the way. But we chatted. Oh, I need a grammarian who will measure my ums and uhs. And hearing somebody like ruffling, like rocks.
Somebody, can everyone mute, please?
Now you need to unmute Chris.
Yeah, you need to unmute Chris. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Take two. But you're all speakers. You live in the speaking world, as well as your other professions. So talking with Bill, we thought we'd share a little bit about body language with you. And, you know, oops, there we go. One of the things we wanted to talk to you about today is we're living in the Zoom world. We're all in Zoomlandia 24/7. And this is us, you know, at the start of the day when we're living in Zoom world, and or some online platform in your work or in your connections with folks on a regular basis. But the reality is, you know, we might be task oriented, we might be nailing it in terms of like equalization and participation, etc. But by the end of the day, we're wasted. We are exhausted from being on Zoom. You've been in this meeting already an hour, right? So you're having a good time. It appears like when I walked on, it looked like a giant party, which I was excited to jump on into a few minutes before. But we're battling Zoom fatigue. So now more than ever, the biggest thing about being on Zoom is that we're more aggressive. We're meaner on Zoom than we normally would be. And as a result of that, there's less trust and less support. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you guys just living in some elements of body language. And I wanted to share, when I do my corporate talks, I share this video as kind of an opening. If we were in the room together, I would be in the back of the room playing this. And I wanted to play it for you because I think Coach Arietta is the head coach of the women's basketball team at the University of Connecticut. Says it all about body language. So I want to play this for you. Thumbs up if you can hear it. If there's a problem with the sound, I'll stop it and we'll fix it. But here it is.
Recruiting enthusiastic kids is harder than it's ever been. Because every kid watches TV and they watch the NBA or they watch Major League Baseball or they watch the NFL, whatever sport they watch, WNBA, it doesn't matter. And what they see is people just being really cool. So they think that's how they're going to act. And they haven't even figured out which foot to use as a pivot foot, and they're going to act like they're really good players. You see it all the time. You see it at every AAU tournament. You see it every high school game. So recruiting kids that are like really upbeat and loving life and love the game and have this tremendous appreciation for when their teammates do something well, that's hard. That's hard. It's really hard. So on our team, me, my coaching staff, we put a huge premium on body language. And if your body language is bad, you will never get in the game.
So I share this video of Coach Arietta with you for several reasons. One, we say a lot with our body language without even saying a word. And the other reason is all the outfits you put on, and I see some of you on I see Rebecca here and Leslie and Barbara and Mike, and Peter, amongst others. But the most important outfit we'll put on is our body language. We are always giving off communication with our body language, whether we know it or not. So the question for us is our body language helping us come across in a trustful way, or is it hurting us? If a giant mirror came down from the sky, would we see you at your best with your body language, or would your body language be undermining your message in that particular moment? Again, my name's Chris Ulrich, and I've got a few minutes here. I want to just share some thoughts, and then I'm going to just stop and answer some questions for you and end with 1 or 2 more segments. Talk a little bit about the art of reading body language and the science of reading body language in the time I have with you. I'm umming here because there it is. I want to ask all of you if you would pop your elbow up over your chair if you could, or kick your elbow up over your chair. Yeah, I love it. I love the green screen, Rebecca, the imaginary chair. This is what we call an elbow pop. If you're sitting in a chair, this is Alex Wagner. She's a reporter, and she's promoting a show on the CBS Morning News. And it caught my attention because you will see people do this elbow pop. It's kind of a 50s, 60s kind of move. You'll see it marks confidence. It's taking up space. You watch politicians in debates, they take up space with their arms. This is one way how we can do it when we're sitting. Here's Virginia Romedy. She's the head of IBM. And Cole Goodman, who's the head of ES Sports. And you'll see these people when they're in pictures taking up space with the elbow pop. Now, depending upon when you might do it, if there's any Mad Men fans in here, you might see folks like John Hamm's character doing it, or Christina Hendricks' character, Joan, doing it. You see these different elements of people holding their bodies bigger. I want to ask all of you a favor real quick. I want you to rub your neck like this. Rub your neck. I can see you guys out there. And I want you to say, I'm an excellent speaker. I'm an excellent speaker. You know, right? You know, when we rub our necks like this, everybody, or everybody do this, rub your hand for a second. We'll talk about this in a moment. These are self-touch or pacifying gestures. You will watch people do this all the time to soothe themselves. Any kind of repetitive gesture is a soothing gesture. Now, if you could, you can unmute yourself as well. It was just like super loud there for a second, and we could try it unmuted. I'd love it if you would unmute, actually. And put your hand on your chin like this and repeat after me. When we grab our chin.
When we grab our chin.
When we grab our chin.
We're about to win.
We're about to
win.
This is a pacifying gesture, just like this. But 2 things. 1, it's connected. When we're talking about body language out there, it's all about perception. How are you being perceived? Are you being received in a trustful way with how you're coming across? Or again, are we getting in our own way? And so a gesture like this is pull. Everyone do this. If you would, just hold it for a second. But I want to look out here and see all these smart, wise, intellectual, curious folks, right? That's how this is perceived. On top of it, it's connected to success in our culture. Whether you're an actor, a politician, a reporter, you will see different people in our culture that we will see people doing this. Watch a report. Watch Christiane Amanpour on PBS now, on her show, Amanpour and Company. You'll see her ask a question and then do this. You see it over and over again. It's this, but it's this. It's just a way to come across more poised in the moment. I share this with you because a lot of times when we get up to speak, or I see it all the time when I go to speaking engagements, people get up on the stage after an announcement of who they are, and they'll repeat who they are. They'll go right to their bios versus jumping in their story or jumping in and earning the trust of the people on the other side. And that's kind of our work here in this world. I want to show you one of the other things. This is Brett Sanders. He's the head of Allergen. And he's rubbing his arm like this. Everybody rub your hand like this. He's talking about money with Jim Cramer. I want to ask you if you can, I want to ask you to stand up for me real quick. If you could, just stand up. And I want you to rub your arm like this. You know, I don't know if you guys are set up to stand, but if you can, or at least rub your hand like this in the camera so you can see it. And I want you to repeat after me. Repeat after me. The higher the hold, the more anxiety is told.
The more anxiety is told.
So if you walked into your boss's office and you rubbed your hand like this and you said, hey, I could use, everybody repeat after me, I could use a raise.
I could use a raise.
Now put your arm up here and be like, Any chance of a raise?
Any chance of a raise?
Sit up here and be like, is there any money left in the swear jar, for God's sake?
I have my job.
Money left in the jar.
Now, you are all refined speakers. That's not going to happen for you. But there may be moments where you have a remote in your hand or something, and then we start to see this. Or maybe a pen. You watch the candidates, like Biden does this a lot. He'll play with his pen a lot. These are all pacifying gestures that pull focus from our message. Everybody do this for a second. When people, men and women, are stressed, people who have hair, I'm told, will vent by pulling their hand back like this. On top of it, cover your eyes for a second. You know, if we're stressed, we will literally vanish our eyes as well. Or sometimes especially men, will release the steam from their collars. Or both men and women will rub the back of their necks to relieve steam from the collar. All of these are signs of tension, of stress, and our body is trying to get rid of that stress. Let me ask you guys something. I walk in, I have a proposal for you guys, you come up with a talk you want to give, and I cross my arms, or somebody in the audience crosses their arms at one of your talks. Are they happy with you?
No.
So I want to break a couple myths for you here, right? So one of the main myths is that arms crossed will always indicate people are shutting down or tuning out. Context matters. If I walk in and say I lost $100 million, they might be upset and their arms might cross. But if we had more time, I would talk to you about the science with arms crossed. Studies show that with our arms crossed, we're 30% more likely to work through a difficult problem and find a solution. On top of it, it's something called baselining. If I do this all the time, it might just be part of my baseline. But when we see this, and it definitely can be shutting down, but it could be their baseline. They like standing this way or holding their arms, or they might be cold, or they might be thinking something through. So with our arms crossed, we're more likely to think something through and stay on task. Yet we've been told that myth for years about arms crossed, and it's another form of this proprioceptive touch. So I'm not going to rule it out, but I'm also going to tell you, be open to the fact that just with arms crossed, it can be kind of seen as, it's much more than just shutting down. Everyone take your arms, cross them for a second. Then I want you to do this. I want you to go like this. I want you to go in your body like this. Like you're a 3-year-old. You want the cookie, but mom won't give it. This is determining. This is a physical gesture where your upper and lower half of your body will literally move together. It's called the posture gesture merger. And the bottom line of it, an indicator you're going to push through something, find your way to push through difficult odds. You'll see Trump do this a lot. He'll do this. So these are all ways. I'm just checking my time with you guys. I want to be cognizant of time with you guys. We've been told a lot of stuff about body language, the quick and the shiny and the good. But sometimes, you got to keep the good. That's what I'm giving you guys. There's studies at MIT, which
That's terrible.
We can teach somebody, or we can define whether a negotiation, a conversation, or when we're in conversation, how it's going to go by reading body language as well as voice. These are our 2 elements. And this is the one key piece I want to give you, and then I want to give you a piece of science, and then I'm going to stop. And then I want to answer any questions you may have, or I can continue. It's up to you. But if you look at this picture here, what concerns you? What do you see?
Pretzels.
There are pretzels there.
Yeah.
Pretzels.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. It's fake news.
It's a lie.
Fake news. There's 1,000 pretzels behind here, but yet this sign is here. This is called a hot spot. In body language, this is a hot spot. Something we cannot recognize it, we cannot see it, we cannot hear it. And in our mind, though, generates ideas. The whole point, our brain is designed to kind of figure stuff out. So we're over here thinking, forgot to take the sign off. Oh, maybe there's a bug in there. Maybe they're just not ready to sell those. They need to bake more, whatever. But the only way we're going to really know why they haven't take off that sign is what? Yeah, gotta ask them. Awesome. So with body language, there's a lot of that myth out there, and a lot of body language experts out there. Not so many, less are doing this, but they're going to tell you what it means. They're going to tell you what this means when they cross your arms. They're going to tell you what this means when I do a steeple. Yet, what I want to talk to you about is the best way to read somebody is a 3-step process I want to give you right now. It's called baselining. And some of you may know this already, but one, when you first saw me come on, how was I coming across? Was I open? Was I closed? Like when we first come on, when we chat with each other, that's when we baseline somebody. Do they talk with their hands? Are they a fast talker? Do they and ah a lot? What are some of their baseline tendencies? And then when we see stuff out of character, if I'm always talking with my hands, but then you guys ask me a question, my hands are down for an extended period of time after them always being up, this could be an indication of a hot spot. Maybe I'm unsure of the question. Maybe I'm pressed for time. Who knows? So the only way you'll know is if we open it up and we ask a third step, and I'm going to give you 2 phrases. One, and these open-ended questions is step 3. Maybe I'm wrong here, or is there any reason? So Rebecca, if you're sitting over there, ask me if I'm excited to be here. Let's walk through this real quick.
So you're excited to be here?
Sure. You believe me, Rebecca?
No, I don't.
Okay, so myth 2. Myth 2 we're breaking today is the shoulder shrug, right? Now, the shrug marks uncertainty. So when you see someone shrug, it just marks some uncertainty. So let's put me through this process. Baselining. I'm pretty animated as I'm talking to you folks. And then all of a sudden you ask me if I'm excited to be here. I get calm in my body language and I shrug, which is a new thing, a hot spot. So everybody, let's ask me this question together. Everybody, Chris.
Are you happy to be here?
Are you excited to be here?
Yeah, right? How about this? When I asked you if you were excited to be here.
When I asked
you, are you excited to be here?
Seems like you seemed a little uncertain.
Seems a little uncertain.
Rebecca, you saw that. Wow. I'm super excited to be here, but I have like 20 minutes to give you guys an hour and a half worth of stuff I would love to give you. So I had to figure out what could I give you on the fly. I want to leave time for questions and all this kind of stuff. When we go through this process, when we're reading others, this is where the magic happens. This is where rapport gets built. This is where we break down and we break through these statistics that tell us that when we're losing people, there's less trust because we're not seeing them in person. We want to trust the other person. We're designed to trust other people. You know, the book, The Leap, it talks about how trust is something we all want. I want to give you one more thing, and then I'm going to open it up here. I want to give you this. I want to talk about the emotions. This is the science of body language. We have 7 universal emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, contempt, disgust, fear, and surprise. And there are more, but these are the ones that across the world we can all recognize, whether we're in Austria or here or anywhere else. I saw somebody from Austria on here. And this is
Australia.
Australia, right? This is universal. So body language is territorial. This is universal. And I want to show you one of these. And this is with the emotions we can all see. But when we hold an emotion, if Alexa says to me, "How you doing?" and I say, "Great," and I smile, I can voluntarily give you that. But I will leak the true emotion I am feeling. This is a micro expression, happens in a blink of an eye. And so I want to show you this one in particular: contempt. Contempt is moral superiority. I'm better than you. If anybody has a teenage child, it's the face of the teenager, right? It looks like this. It's a half smile of the face, right? And it can be fun. It's like I win an award. I'm like, I did that. So it's not always out of place. Context always matters when we're reading body language and reading others. So I want to show you, I just came across this yesterday. This is Seinfeld talking to Colbert. He's talking about how, Seinfeld wrote an article about how New York isn't dead, and somebody it's still a hotspot, even though it's going through troubles with COVID. It'll be back. And then you're going to watch Seinfeld respond to Colbert asking him about, "Hey, you wrote this op-ed about New York. Even the president said it was a ghost town." And you're going to watch Seinfeld do this pinch of the mouth to one side, universal expression of a half smile. Everyone do this. Right? That half smile just marks contempt. Now, we'll spot the emotion, but we don't know what the contempt is for. Is it for the response, the way the president spoke about it? Is it response for how everyone's a naysayer? We don't know, but when we spot it, we can ask those questions and get to what's underneath and bothering people. Here it is.
Let me ask you about something else. This op-ed you did in the New York Times about New York, but people saying New York is dead. I don't know a single person who actually has stayed in New York who wasn't offended by people saying, New York is dead and it's never coming back. The president just said, it's like, what did he say? He said it's a ghost town. Doesn't know if it's ever going to recover. Do you have any thoughts about the president's assessment?
You guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This, right? Here's that, in the corner of the mouth pulled back. But he also does this eye vanishing. Everybody close your eyes for a second. Sometimes we'll do this to think. It's also a chance for us to reset. It's a way to kind of like, sometimes people do it for extended amount of times if they're feeling fight or flight, and then they'll open their eyes. You know, you'll see people rub their heads, I mentioned earlier, when they're sitting before a Senate committee, etc. So you'll see this over and over again. I went longer than I wanted, but I want to stop here and answer questions. I'd like to give you one more tip at the end following our questions. But are there any thoughts? And if you know all this already, awesome. And if there's stuff you want to add to it, I appreciate that. It was just a thought to come on and share a little of this with you, since you guys are all very interested in human behavior as members of a speaking community. And so I'm just grateful to spend a little time with you tonight. I see
Chris, if everybody wants, please chat to me, Tom Reed, and I'll relay the questions. And we already have a question. This is from Rebecca Ruiz, and she says, I wonder, could a speech be delivered entirely by using body language and gestures?
Do you mean without any words?
That's what she said.
Okay. Yes, it's called miming. I jest, but Joe Navarro, who's kind of one of the godfathers of all this work, will often turn off all the sound and watch an entire piece and get a feel and a flavor for what's happening just by watching the body language. So if you're giving a speech, if you gave the speech with words, turn off the sound. Watch yourself with your own body language. One, you'll learn your own baseline. What are your tendencies? And then, like, if you notice some behavior where it's ramped up, kind of repetitive gestures or pacifiers, then I put the sound on and see what was going on there for you that created that. I don't know if you could give a speech without words. I think I love the idea of it, and I think a silent play, I'm sure someone's done that. And if you know of anything, please email or get my email, because I want to watch it.
Okay, a quick question for you. Because of COVID, a lot of our activities now are behind a mask. So the only thing you can really see are the eyes. So eyes or a mask on, does that emphasize more the body gestures?
Yes. With the face, at least, with contempt, another way we'll see it is, do I have it here? Yeah. We'll see it with the eye roll is another way that we'll see contempt. The eyebrows are super important for us. Everybody go like this, scrunch your nose like this. You'll see this pull down, and we'll see this, the glabella, I think this is called right here. Something like that, the Gabriella. I'm sorry, I'm butchering it. But when this pulls down like this, that's a sign of disgust. So we can still see parts of the face. Who asked me that question? Was it? Okay.
That was me.
Who's me? Who's me? I don't see you. Was it
Tom.
Tom, yeah, so it's a great question. More so, I want to give you one other thing. If we see the shrug, for example, where that marks the uncertainty. If people gesture with their hands, if you want to lay emphasis, everyone do this. This is a steeple gesture. If you're in a mask and you're like, I really appreciate if you put on a mask. This is great for hammering home a key point. It's power, authority, and control. Yet at the same time, it's pretty pointed. So people are gonna feel like you're coming at them. It's a rapport killer. But if I put a firecracker in there and I open up and I say, listen, really love it. I've got some young kids here and my parents are with me. They're older. Any chance we could ask you to put your mask on? It's power, authority, and control. We have 3 power zones: our neck dimple, our belly button, and our low region. Any Monty Python fans, the naughty bits, right? So the more, we can use our bodies to get bigger with our arms, etc. If we're trying to get bigger to emphasize a point. So your question, is it important? Extremely. And then here were some extra thoughts on how to do that.
Okay, thank you. Got time for one more question. This is from Bill Roman. What are the biggest things we should not do when speaking? You could just give one or two gestures we should avoid.
I want to come back to that, the steeple. The biggest thing about the steeple is it's great for hammering home a key point. And that's why X, Y, and Z. But I want to be open if I'm conveying anything else. I really want to convey. Second thought for you is when you are speaking to a group and you've got a room of people, I want to finish a thought on somebody versus my eyes going all over the place. If my eyes are moving all over the place, it can give us an indication that, an indicator that that we may be nervous. It's called squirrel eyes. You see Mitt Romney do it a lot in 2012 at town halls versus being much calmer in his body. One other thing, and would that speech, Bill, be online?
We're recording everything, and I'm hoping.
No. I mean, when Bill, you're giving a speech, you're talking to your audience.
Yeah, let's talk online.
Online. I think it's three things I would do is, I gave you the two. The other thing I would avoid if I could at all times is, and then maybe I may not be able to do it, but if your lips, everyone do this with your lips. So you have a moment where you're, when we don't like what we see or hear, our lips will suddenly disappear. So if you're messing around with your screen or whatever, turn your screen off. Ask everyone. One thing I can always do, if you're having any technical issues, if we see stress in you, it's going to create stress in your audience. So if you know that you're having an issue technically or you're having a moment, have them turn to each other and say, hey, I'm going to ask you to turn to each other for a minute and grab a partner, and what's your biggest takeaway from the conversation tonight? And then you could take a minute and figure out whatever your tech is, or try to get your phone to turn off. And it looks like it helps with it's a healthy flow in that particular way.
Okay, Chris, I'd like to go into overtime because Hank gave that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What does it mean if you raise one arm above your shoulder on a wall or a doorway?
Wow, great question. If you mean like kind of like if I do this, I like do something like this. I'll answer it that way.
Yes. We need your input.
Do this. This is kind of anchoring. If people are on the shorter side, if you're my partner's 5'2", and she will do this. And so she's little, but when she does this, she comes across, she takes up space. And if she has to deal with a situation, by anchoring like this, it can become very powerful for her to live into her body a little bit. The other reason I would share this with you, a side note on this, and that great question is literally when you walk in a door, I'm going to invite you to pause for a second before you go into the door, right? Literally pause. We don't want to block the door, but just pause for a second. You'll see who does this masterfully. I'm not here to talk about his politics, but it's Trump. He will pause. He will frame himself in a doorway. We frame pictures. We frame pictures of art. Are we framing ourselves to come across powerfully? And that's something we can do very easily. We have something called the center fixed bias. We look to what's in the center. So by framing yourself in a doorway right before you walk in, as other people see you, can be an important factor in helping you come across more powerfully right out of the gate.
Okay, Chris, I want to thank you. And for everybody in the chat, I believe Bill Roman gave a link to so you can get further information. So yes, let's applaud.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
What a gift. Thank you for your time here tonight. And I think it was Emerson who said, I can't hear what you're saying because who are you being? So you're being awesome for having me tonight. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of your night. And so grateful for the questions and the time. Many blessings. Stay healthy and safe.
Thanks for coming.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, bud.
Our next speaker is going to be Peter Mace of Just for Laughs, and he is in District 70 in Sydney, Australia. Peter, are you there?
Yes, I am.
I'll take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone around the world for joining in today, and a special thank you to the Humour Farm for putting this all together. It's been tremendous. Great to see. Should do more of it. So I'm from down under, from Sydney, and that's a place where Barbara talked about earlier about that young backpacker losing her wallet on Bondi Beach. Now, Bondi Beach is just down the road from us here. When we go to Bondi Beach, we don't take a wallet. In fact, we take a little shovel so we can find those buried wallets and take them home. It all comes back to our convict past. Now, our little club, Just for Laughs, we try and achieve laughter, and we're a bit radical. We don't ban topics like politics, sex and religion, because we find that that's some of the best material. So apologies up front. And speaking of politics, Australians are very aware of US politics. For instance, we know the Donald, we know Sleepy Joe. We know their backups in Mike and Camilla. But how many Americans would know of Scotty from marketing? Anyone? That's Scott Morrison, our Prime Minister. Good little nickname for him because he's very good at PR. During our devastating bushfires that happened last summer, he was spotted in Hawaii, sitting by the pool, drinking pina coladas. Not a very good look for a marketer. I've got the flag up now. How about our Leader of the Opposition? Has anyone heard of Anthony Albanese? Probably not. We affectionately call him Albo. And that brings me to another idiosyncrasies, I can't get that word out, of Australians. We like to shorten words. We like to use letters sparingly. We like to save them up for something important. Maybe like a 30-second speech at a best man's wedding. Who knows? So we shorten words. So Scott Morrison becomes Scotty. Anthony Albanese becomes Albo. And we like to end these words with a vowel at the end. So if you met an Australian, they might invite you in for a cuppa, which is a cup of tea or coffee. And then, if you're lucky, you might get offered a bicky, which is a biscuit. And if you're really lucky, you might get a chocky bicky. In the arvo, the afternoon, you might watch some footy, which is football, on the telly. I'm afraid to say we've even shortened the name of your famous takeaway. We now call it Macca's here. And our tradespeople suffer the same fate. We have brickies, posties, garbos, that's a garbologist, cabbies, fireys, and ambos. If you play music, you'll be called a muso. And if you take drugs, you'll be called a junkie. Hang on, that's just the same. Doesn't change. And a Chrissy, if you're very, very good, you might receive a Chrissy Prezi. Now, a lot of people have this idea that in Australia, we're misogynist drunks. And I'd like to resemble that remark, giving you this quick quiz, which is the entry test for new migrants coming into their country. How many Australian men does it take to change a light bulb? The answer is none. It's a woman's job. What is the difference between an Australian wedding and an Australian funeral? Answer, there's one less drunk at the funeral. And what do you call a boomerang that won't come back? Well, we tend to call it a stick. So some very good funnies there. I wanted to share with you also a little bit about our landscape here. We're a very dry country, and in my younger years, I worked for the Bureau of Meteorology. And I was sent on an assignment into outback Australia to just check with people about when they'd last seen rain. I travelled west days after days and met people, and there were different reports about when rain last occurred. Very dry. Anyway, after about 10 days, I got to what I thought was the middle of the country. It was dry as a bone, just dust, no vegetation, no trees, no grass. And I found a house and I knocked on the door. Door opened and a young man answered the door, and I said, look, I'm here to do a survey on weather. Could you tell me when it last rained out here? He said, no, never in my time. He said, hang on, I'll get Dad. So Dad came out. I asked him the same question. Dad said, sorry, never seen rain in all my lifetime. But hang on, Grandpa might know. So Grandpa came out slowly. He was about 101 if he was a day. And I asked him the same question. Rain, he said, Sonny. Never seen rain here. Don't think it's... Oh, hang on. I do recall this story that was passed on many, many, many years ago. We heard about this big rain event. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And this guy in Europe built this big boat to put animals on. Yes, I said, that's it. That's it. I guess you got flooded then, did you? No, he said. All we got was 2 inches. Now that's about the state of Australia's situation here. Very dry, but we have fun. We like humour. So thank you again for the opportunity to present today, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the session. Bye for now.
Thank you, Peter. And if anybody's interested, there is a regatta every year in Alice Springs. And it's a truly remarkable boat race because there are the boats like you'd have punting boats where you have crew boats. The only difference is there's no water. So there are holes in the bottom. So they literally pick up the boat and run with it. But I love Australia. I lived in England, so I kind of speak Australian.
And I say they cancelled that boat race a couple of years ago because the river ran. There was water in the river, so they had to cancel the boat race.
Sounds like climate change to me.
Yep.
Okay, our next speaker is going to be Shabbir Latif of the Silicon Valley Improv Masters, District 101 in San Jose. Shabbir, are you here?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much for having me and inviting me. Oh, somebody missed, I thought.
Yes, it looks like I'm next in the agenda.
Yeah, I think I was surprised too, so I'm going to back off.
Tom, you're forgetting your name today.
This is the first time. This is the first time I'm trying to use dual monitors, and the monitor keeps dying on me. So Tom Iland of Improv Toastmasters, District 52, San Fernando Valley, about 500 miles south of Silicon Valley. Tom, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm here to leave you in our first improv game, or as we call it in Improv Toastmasters, Table Topics on Steroids. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a little game here called the Humour Farm Toastmasters Spelling Bee. And I'm going to need your help here, Tom, Toastmaster Tom, that is, to help me get some contestants here. So let me explain the rules first. I'm going to give you, or have somebody from the audience rather, give a word, a made-up word, and the contestant has to do three things. First, you have to spell the word, you have to define the word, and you have to use it in a sentence. So there are no wrong answers here. This is all for good fun, and it's to get your creative juices flowing, and as always, keep having fun. Who's having fun tonight? Yeah? All right, let's have a little more fun. So, Tom, if I could have you have someone raise your hand if you want to be, or actually let me demonstrate first. I'll demonstrate first, have someone raise their hand and give me a made-up word, and then I'll show you how this is done. So, give me a made-up word.
I got to switch over here. Sorry. Let me go back to my gallery view.
Oinky podatic.
Okay. Oinky podatic. O-N-K-Y-P-O-D-A-T-I-C. Oinky podatic. Oinky podatic is a Greek word, and it comes from oinkapodak, which means essentially to squeal in absolute delight. See, the Greeks were really big on being oinky-podatic whenever there was such beautiful weather out there, and whenever they ran out of plates that they would break, the oinky-podatic would come in, and ultimately they felt like Opa wasn't enough. They felt like there's so much to be grateful for, and they would go worship Zeus during their oinky-podatic. Used in a sentence, the Greek family became so happy in their wedding that the plates and the oinky-podatic were wasted out of all of them. Oinky-podatic. So that's an example of the the spelling bee contest. So who would like to be the next contestant?
Okay, I'll select them for you. I want Dr. Ethel from the Manassas Club.
All right.
And Tom, could you give her the word to start it, and then she will give the next word to the follow-on person.
Awesome idea. All right, Dr. Ethel, you ready? And if you could unmute yourself. We have Dr.
I've done it.
All right, here we go. Your word is Salga.
Salga. S-U-L-G-H-A. Salga. Salga is a delicious pudding that we make when we have a special company coming to the house. Salga is just a glorious combination of fruits and puddings and various seasonings that go with the fruit, you know, like cinnamons and nutmeg and that kind of thing that everybody loves. Suga, when people come to visit, and especially when VIPs come to visit, Soga is always on the menu. Soga.
Bravo. Well done, Dr. Ethel.
Tom, to keep everybody on the edge of their seat, if Dr. Ethel, if you can give us the next word, after you give us the word, then I'll announce who the person is that's going to explain it.
Ah.
Oh, all right then. The next word is Ricky Doodle.
Ricky Doodle. Okay. Jackie Kusterboer. Jackie Kusterboer. You're next.
And if she could unmute herself. The word again is Ricky Doodle.
Ricky Doodle.
Ricky Doodle.
Ricky Doodle for Jackie.
Jackie, where are you?
Didn't leave, did she? Oh.
Yeah, she's still signed in.
Her camera and her microphone are off. Do we have another contestant, Mr. Toastmaster?
Yes.
Awesome.
How about Joanne from looks like LOL Austin. Joanne from LOL Austin.
LOL Australia.
Ah.
Hello.
All right.
So
Ricky Doodle.
Ricky Doodle. Ricky Doodle. Spelled RICKIEDOODLE. Define the word. So Ricky Doodle. Yeah. The word Ricky Doodle was discovered back in the 100 BC and was used to describe someone who was a bit of an idiot and you couldn't remember their name as well, so you called them Ricky Doodle. You couldn't remember their name, but you thought they were an idiot, so they're a Ricky Doodle. And to use the word Ricky Doodle in a sentence is, I thought this person I've just met, can't remember his name, but I think he's a bit of a Ricky Doodle. Thank you.
Bravo.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Joanne, can you give us a word for the next speaker?
All right. The word that we like to use in Australia is a drop bear.
All right.
Drop bear. Okay.
Drop bear.
KP Johnny in India. Drop bear.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you repeat the word, please?
A drop bear.
Drop bear. DROPBEAR. A drop bear was a word that was invented 300 years ago in Australia, which would typically be used for a boring person whom you don't like to hear and describe him from the bottom of your heart that he should drop dead, but dead being a not so good usage of the word, so it was replaced by bear. A not so beautiful person, an ugly guy whom you didn't like and you wanted him to vanish, drop bear. So he's such a boring person and he's such an insulting guy. He's a drop bear.
All right. Thank you very much.
Tom, we have time for just one more.
Yes,
KP, do you have a word for our next speaker?
Made up word. Or maybe a word you know.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous.
Fantabulous?
Fantabulous.
Okay. Fantabulous. Leanne Macklin. What does that word mean? Leanne Macklin.
Thank you, Tom. I actually know what this means. Fantabulous. F-A-N-T, fantabulous. It means, okay, it's a word, it's a relatively new word. It is fantastic and fabulous, and it's a hybrid of both words, but it's often depicted by a gesture, and the gesture is marked by when you put your hand like on your chin. And fantabulous means when I have my hand on my chin, I'm about to win. Fantabulous.
Woohoo! Awesome. Well, that's my time, but I hope this was fun and enjoyable for you. Remember to say yes and not take life too seriously. Life is improv, and improv is life. I'm Thomas Iland of Improv Toastmasters. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Our next improv is Shabbir Latif of Silicon Valley ImprovMasters in District 101, San Jose, California. Shabbir.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster. Mr. Toastmaster. I'm going to start with something we do regularly, but I want quickly 10 volunteers. Put your name down on the chat and then number yourself based on the sequence. Change the rename from 1 to 10. So I need 10 volunteers. Please type your name quickly. So as the people type their name, just start renaming yourself so we know the sequence you're going to come in with. So rename and put your number in the front. Does that make sense?
We're not seeing any volunteers.
Okay. Do I pick then?
You can pick, yes.
All right. So far we have 5, 6, 7, 8 is Sue McKean.
Are they chatting directly to you?
No, they're not chatting directly to me. They're chatting to everyone.
Okay.
At least what I see is. Okay. Rename your number wherever you are, please. And we're going to play something I call lightning round. So the first person is going to, who's number 1? Raise your hand. I can't see everybody, so.
I'm looking in chat. I don't see.
If there's no number.
Wait, there we go. I see a 2, a 3.
Marietta is number 1.
Yeah, Marietta is number 1. So Marietta, you're going to start, since it's election time, you're going to start the election that happened in 1990. Just make it up. And you're going to say a sentence. And I will stop or just start talking, and I'll stop you by saying pause every 15, 20 seconds. And the second person will begin, the first word will be the last word of the person I stopped with. Now, the rule is you cannot add any other word. You have to begin with the last word. Okay, does that make sense? And these are people who are identified. Okay, so Marietta, begin your conversation with the last election in 1990.
A fantasy election in 1990 when people were actually respectful of one another, actually presented ideas that were useful and helpful and had a
Next, second person begin with the last word. Whatever you heard, it doesn't matter. What you think you heard is what the first word will be.
There was a time when we all had to really look inside ourselves and discover who we were as people, because we were in a whole new decade and soon to be in a whole new.
Yes. What is the last word that the next person heard, and begin your question? Talking point.
New change was definitely needed after the experiences we had with the previous elected officials. The way that they led this country was extremely disappointing. The barrage of
disappointing. Next person.
I don't see a 4.
I think, was that Jonathan? Who's the next number 4? Nobody knows who's number 4?
Well, I don't think anybody is 4. We can go to 5, which is Tracy.
5. Okay. I think I'm going to time out. This is not working, so we're going to go to the next one. This is called being an expert. Politicians are really good at this. So I will come up with your expertise and I'll point to the person. We won't ask for volunteers. I'll just pick one. And the person whose expertise, other people will raise your hand and ask questions about that expertise to that person. And you have to make up the answer, sound confident, and convince people that that is the right answer. Does that make sense? Okay, so you are expertise as raising fish. Mike Storkey.
Can you please just repeat what I'm an expert in?
Farming fish.
The first thing you need when you raise fish is
let me finish. So people will ask you a question. So I need type questions about raising fish, farming fish that anybody has. I have one. What fertilizer do you use to farm fish?
Well, there's a number of fertilizers we use. There's some chemical products that are quite useful, but in fact, natural products produce better fish. So fertilizing, we use a lot of nutrients in the water in order to make them grow and develop so that they are marketable.
Anybody else with the question?
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the best fish to farm?
Well, here in Australia, we find that barramundi is by far the most popular fish. It is beautiful to eat. It has a very predictable life cycle and breeds well in captivity.
Mike Robinson had a question.
Mike, I'm curious to know what sort of dogs you use to look after these fish, and how do you signal them? I mean, whistling can't work too well.
Yeah, to be honest with you, we don't use too many dogs because we kind of feel that they don't like water as much as many people think. We have in fact found that ducks are far better to marshal the fish than dogs.
Okay, next expertise. I'll pick another person. Jonathan, you're an expert at tides. So if somebody asks questions about tides. How does the tides go back and forth? What makes them, Jonathan?
Certainly. So the tides go back and forth due to the effect of the moon's gravitational pull on the Earth. And as a result of that, and the result of the moon orbiting around the Earth, the tides go in and out to correspond with that movement.
Go ahead, Lee.
My question, Jonathan, to you as the expert in tides, why do so many people end up in the emergency room during a full moon?
Certainly. Well, that's because during a full moon, people go out to the beaches to look and see what's going on, because the beach is a really secluded place at night. And when they're out there, they're not paying attention. And when the full tide comes in, they get tripped up, they fall down, they hurt themselves, and they have a scraped elbow or something. Then next thing you know, they're in the emergency room. So common reason for that.
There's a great question on the chat. How come the riptide doesn't tear the beach?
That's an excellent question. Well, riptides, you really would expect them to tear up a beach, but that's really a misunderstanding of what a riptide is. Instead of the tide having sharp attachments to it that would cause the beach to be ripped up, the riptide instead is actually just out in the ocean and really can't affect the beach at all. It's a common misunderstanding. I can see where somebody would get mixed up with that.
Tracy had her hand.
Jonathan, this is Yvonne. I'd like to know, does the sun or the moon have a greater influence on the tides on the earth?
That is an excellent question. The moon has a much greater effect on the tides on the earth. While the sun is extremely large, the sun is much further away from the earth than the moon, given that the earth is the third planet from the sun. So the moon has a much greater effect.
Okay, how much time do I have, Toastmaster?
Here, I think we need to wrap it up. I've got to move it to the next group.
Okay.
Okay, Shabbir, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everybody for
I'll
participating.
put our website on the chat if anybody wants to join us as a guest.
Okay. All right. Our next group is Terry No and Bill Roman of Humour Farm Toastmasters in District 29 in Ashburn, Virginia. Terry and Bill.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for coming to this wonderful event. And we have Terry to thank she did 99% of the work. So let's give a big hand for Terry. She did an unbelievable job bringing all of us together tonight, and we're really grateful for that. Just want to do a quick, we're going to do a quick physical improv. We're going to do one of our favorites, water balloon fight. So if you, this one requires your camera on. If you want to participate, please turn your camera on. It's very simple. We are going to toss an imaginary water balloon around the gallery view. So I recommend you put it in gallery view and try to put as many people on your screen as possible. And what I'm going to do is I'll start it, and I will, I have my water balloon. I have it right here. It's medium size, not too big. Might get bigger or smaller as we go around. And I'm going to tell somebody that the water balloon is coming to you, and I'm going to throw you the balloon. As soon as you get it, catch it, and then throw it to someone else. Could be anyone else on either screen. So I'm going to start with Stephen Rogers. Stephen, here comes. Catch it. Oh, you got to unmute though.
I'm working on it. I have hands full with the balloon here, and I'm throwing it to Dutch Martin.
I caught it. Wow. This is about as jiggly as my gut. Okay. I'm going to send this, just call me Big Wiggle. I'm going to send this, who else is on here? I'm going to send this bad boy. All right. Here we go. Swoosh.
I got it. I got to throw it down under to Mike Robinson.
There seems to be some sticky substance on this. I'm not quite sure where it comes, but strawberry flavor. Yvonne Vaughn, this is for you.
Okay, I caught it, and I am going to throw it over to Pula, Washington, to our next speaker. There she is, or he is. It is Rebecca Murray. There you go, Rebecca.
Oh, hey, wow, this thing just got larger all of a sudden, and there's something in there. I think it might be alive. I'm getting afraid. I'm really worried here. Sue, Michelin, unmute. Here it comes. I think it's a kitten. Ah!
Unmute. Okay, now there are. I think he's around my back. Hold on. Oh, here he comes, Dr. Ethel. Oh, there he goes.
There, I have it. Oh, what a beautiful thing this is. I think I'm going to keep it. I'm not sending it to anybody.
Very good. All right, you keep it, Dr. Ethel. It's your souvenir.
Thank you.
Wonderful evening. Okay, Terry.
All right. The next one is Laughs. It's motivated by Eric Whittaker's virtual choir, where he posed all his musicians playing on the internet one by one, and it's very harmonious. So for this would be our first, but to laugh, and I will call whoever I see on the screen, and we have 3 to 5 seconds to laugh, like what Alexa Fong show us, and then you quickly call on to the next person, and we all laugh. So it's very sequential, should be very harmonious. You guys ready? So whoever wants to participate, please have your video on and have it unmute, so we can all hear your laughter. So I will wait for everyone to be on. All right, so I could start. Hopefully I will do Alexa justice. All right. Barbara Nielsen.
Joanne, District 90. You've muted though. Marietta.
Oh, Peter Mace.
Very good, Marietta. I'm going to pass this across to Mike Storkey.
Oh, Joanne.
I think Joanne's not there, Mike. I tried to throw to her. There she is.
I refer to Stephen, can't say your last name. Stephen Road.
Rogers?
Rogers. Just did it. Shirley Roman.
And cats.
Rebecca Murray.
Mike Robinson.
Marianne.
Who?
Marianne.
Ah! Let me see. Sue.
Barbara.
Leslie, you're still there.
Tom. Read.
Oh, Cheryl Poyer. Okay. Oh, Jatin Kalani.
Sorry. Leslie Stocky.
Alexa.
Bill. Ronan. Ronan. There's a baby.
Okay, who's next? Tom Reed, the laughter is yours.
Terry and Bill, we're ready a little bit late.
We better move on to Rebecca's.
We're going to move on to our next humorist is Rebecca Murray of West Sound Comedy Club in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State. Rebecca.
Well, I don't know about all of you, but I have come to love and embrace presenting in this virtual space where literally anything is possible. In fact, we can take a turn. Oh, sorry, I think I forgot something. Here we go. Yes, I'd like to thank the Academy, Terry, no, and of course, Amazon. I knew I was going to win this. But becoming a different character involving props in our presentations really as easy as that. Leaving for a second, coming back as someone else, turning off our camera, coming back as someone else. And I know you might be getting the idea that I don't like myself. I do like myself. Here are a few characters that I have been and have developed since before and since COVID. So we have down in the corner here, there's me, right up above me, Mrs. Murray, who actually is an amazing storyteller. She lives in England. Her sister above her, Lenore, sadly, she's a hoarder, a librarian, and her mission in life is to help people understand that Amazon is not a library. In the middle is Reb Diddy. Now, I might not look like a rapper, but I really do have mad skills, and I teach them for free to Toastmasters. If anybody ever wanted to take me up on that, be happy to help you out. Rap can actually help brain cells expand, so it's a good thing to learn. Mildred Cooper, who also goes by Minnie, she has a crush on her Uber and is known for saying very inappropriate things in front of large audiences. And then Disco Dave, who I'd like to introduce you to further tonight. Now, this is my prop room, costume room that I've brought up here and has totally expanded since we become shut-ins. I've had so much fun, as you can tell. So tonight I'd like to introduce you to DJ Disco Dave, who one day when I was the table topics master in my club, I thought, how do I shake this up? How do I make it super fun? So I challenged myself by having my camera off and coming on in full Disco Dave, and then doing a table topic session where it's sort of like a mixture of karaoke. He had people a mixed up song because he's dyslexic and gets things back all the time. And then they would have to just go with that song for up to a minute. So this is an idea that you might also try with a character of your own. Now, Disco Dave, poor guy, he's conflicted. He's got 1 foot in the Woodstock world and 1 foot in the disco. That's why he wears his favorite pink headband. Of course, he's going to need a mustache, so here he goes. Here he goes. And then I bought this whole pack of mustaches from Amazon, all different kinds. You can see this one's well worn by Disco Dave. He just loves this mustache. And then I took another mustache. See, it's actually for an Italian dude. You want some pizza? Here's your mustache. But Dave needs eyebrows, so we're going to put these on. Oh, there you go, Dave. You're missing your... And he's always surprised. You know what I'm saying? He's very surprised by everything, I'm surprised that my eyebrow just will not stay on. But look at me, and look at you. I'm surprised to see all of you there. There you are, out there. And then to top it off, Dave has a his jacket that I searched long and hard to find. And this is definitely pulls the ensemble together. Do you see how realistic this is? Now, ladies and gentlemen, and especially you gentlemen, please take note, because this jacket really is a babe magnet. I mean, I am like honey and they're the flies. Do you know what I'm saying here? So if you ever want to be like a proud peacock, you just come see Disco Dave and I'll tell you everything you need to know. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to encourage you to break out of your box in this virtual world, embrace it, and get a better mustache, if you know what I mean. Try to get a better mustache and at least one more eyebrow. Now, the very last thing that I'd like to leave you with, because Disco Dave is a very inspirational guy, and this is what he does. He sings songs. So would you like to hear one of my favorite songs? Would you? Nod your head if you'd like to have Dave sing you a song. Okay, here we go. To eat the impossible pie. Have you ever had impossible pie? But here's one thing to keep in mind. Nothing is impossible. An impossible pie. Gotcha. See ya.
Thank you. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Disco Bob or Bill. At this point, I want to turn the meeting back over to our president of the Humour Farm. Y'all have been a wonderful audience tonight. I didn't tell you about the warning, was that there's a lot of worry out there about Zoom bombing of meetings. Well, we don't have Zoom bombers at Toastmasters. We have guests. So at this point, I want to turn the meeting over to our president, Bill Roman.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Thanks. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, especially everybody who presented, and our special guest speakers, Alexa, Fong, Drubay, with her taught us about laughter yoga, which was super fun. And I think I'm still 2 pegs up on my meter from where I was at the beginning from that. So thank you to Alexa. I'd like to thank Chris Ulrich, who came from my DC Improv class and told us a little bit more about body language. Hopefully that will help us all when we're speaking or when we're trying to read our audiences, so we can tell when people are getting bored. I'd like to thank especially, in addition to all of our guests, all of our Toastmasters VIPs, special big thanks to Terry No, our own Terry No, who put this together and did a huge amount of work. So let's give everybody a round of applause for that. Incredible night. I think we had a maximum of, it looked like 97 people at one point. So that's a great draw. We had a lot of fun. You guys all from all around the world. I'm just so happy to meet everyone and see all the fun things that we do. I will definitely be checking some of your clubs out. I'd like to thank Tom Reed, our host, for doing his incredible job. Everybody who put on an act, I can't remember everybody on the agenda, but I loved all of your comedy, from Rebecca to Dutch to Mike Robinson, everybody who put on an act or did an improv. Thank you very much. And thanks for playing. And we look forward to doing this again, although I think Terry's pretty tired, so it'll be a while, but we'd like to do this again, maybe make it an annual event. That's all I have to say. Terry, did you want to say anything before we go?
Sure. I hope you will join us for another event coming in November. We will host a comedy writing workshop with Judy Carter, and the date will be early or mid-November, so we will let you know.
Great job.
Excellent. Yeah, so if you signed up on Eventbrite, Terry has your email and she can email you that information as well.
The next time we'll do it Australia time.
Sure. We'll do it in the midnight here, whenever.
Right.
All right, thank you. Tom, is there anything else on the agenda?
No, we're done. Thank you.
All right. In that
Great
case,
job,
let's,
everybody.
Let's.
Thank you all so very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.